You're seriously gonna stop it there. You're seriously gonna cut it off right there. You got Alcadis is rolling up on top of this big old monster. You have like literally every single faction that has currently set up an alliance is all coming after Sabaki. Everybody's interested in Sabaki. And again, that goes back to that thing I've talked about before where you have like this like it's city ending incident and suddenly everybody just makes an alliance and all comes together to try to stop some situation. But there's obviously people like puppeteering in the background. There's two different sides of this that's sort of breaking things in the background that I see. One being Francesca. I'm actually very curious what happened after that fight because that's going to answer why Alcadis is here. Because Alcadis is supposed to be have some sort of, or not Alcadis, but Bazadot. Bazadot's supposed to be working for like Faldius and Francesca and the state. So why is he there when it seems like Orlando, who's also with the state and Faldius, is wanting to do this whole thing? I think the answer is that yes, Francesca obviously wants to create chaos. She wants things to fight, and everybody's creating alliances. And so I'm assuming that whenever she went down there and stopped, you know, Alcadis and Balzadot and Philia and Henry, when she stopped that whole incident, again, it said something to the effect that they sort of formed an alliance. They made a truce of some sort. I think that they made some sort of agreement at that point, and it's coming into effect now. Alcadis is rolling up for that right now. So yeah, Francesca, I think, is working against the state, Orlando, and Faldius. Now, the other side, again, that I'm curious about is, what was Faldius talking about to Assassin? What was that conversation? He basically wants to talk to Assassin. He says, I want to talk to you, you know, straight up. I want you to take out somebody and make it look like an accident. And yes, the Assassin gives the whole warning there that you better stick to this. If you falter in any way, you're going to be cursed. It's like this kind of backward effect to the curse itself. But anyways, what I'm curious about here is who is Faldius talking about? Who does Faldius want killed? Now, what I immediately sort of kind of go through my process, my brain, is to eliminate a lot of the options here. I think most every person in the cast that has been revealed up until this point is not important enough that they would have to be seen as an accident. So like all these individuals like, you know, Ayaka, he doesn't need it to be framed as an accident with Ayaka. Ayaka dies, it's going to be very like hard to connect it to Faldius specifically. He's going to be wanting somebody higher up that he doesn't want people to know that he specifically killed. And that's going to go into people that are on Faldius' side. People that are within the state or on Faldius' side, he would want it to make it look like an accident because otherwise it can come after him. If it's somebody not on his side, it could just be part of the war. Oh, they died during a battle during the war, and I'm one of the masters, and my servant killed them, whoop-de-doo. If it's somebody on his side, though, that is a master, it's a little bit more different. I can see it probably being Orlando. It's either going to be Orlando or it's going to be somebody that's higher up in the state that's important, like a president or a government official or something like that that we haven't seen yet. But I'm more probably leaning towards Orlando. And I think it's mainly around the idea that Orlando doesn't want collateral damages. He wants to keep people safe. And I can see Faldius seeing like his own perspective on how things should be handled is different than Orlando's, and that Orlando is eventually going to get in his way and he wants him out of the picture. The only thing that kind of works against that theory is the fact that it looks like Faldius is like at the end of his wits when he does this. He's literally down there going, all right, Assassin, we got to talk. I need you to do this thing. Like he's at the end of his rope. Like I need something done. That leads me more to the idea of it being somebody like, you know, Francesca or something like that. But again, that goes in that realm of like, why would he need it to look like an accident? Why that specifically unless he knows that the servant Francesca will be angry about it, but then they're connected and all that kind of stuff? I don't know. The only one that I can see right now that's really like a thorn in his side is Francesca, but the Francesca's a situation where she's actually very useful while she's not controllable. She's still doing things good that he needs. She just does a lot of things that annoys him and that he can't control, like the situation here recently. Like last episode, literally she's doing something that he's like, why are you doing that? No, don't worry. They're all making a truce. Don't worry about it. Everything's peachy. Don't worry about it. Stop being too serious. Is that whole thing. I can also see it possibly being either Hansa, you know, with the church. I can see Faldius wanting to get rid of Hansa as well, but I don't think, again, they're not directly in conflict with each other quite yet. But that also could lead to the possibility of it being Waver as well. Again, him being very closely tied in with the clock tower. He might want that to not look like it's connected as well. But I don't know if they've actually shown quite yet that Faldius sees directly that Waver is getting involved with the current situation. But either way, that all aside, I think, again, my conclusion comes down to it might possibly be Orlando. And then again, that will be a very interesting thing to explain what his again difference of opinion might be forcing him to do this, and why it looked like he was at the end of his rope. But that aside, that's all for me to introduce. Yes, episode 8 of Fate Strange Fake. Really wild episode. A lot of build up to a crazy fight that we'll see if it turns out to be that epic. Again, it does imply that we have basically every party coming into play. Sigma, along with Ayaka, they're going to come in here because Sigma now has the desire to protect something, and that's going to be the Tsubaki girl. It seems like he relates a little bit. He wants to help out. Ayaka is wanting to help out as well with that, obviously, because they have this truce that they're set up. You have over here, Flatt has worked with Orlando, and they're going to go in there because there's a spreading that's happening, and Orlando wants to protect the people. And then you have over here, it seems like Alcaides is now getting involved, probably because of Francesca, so they're getting involved in the whole situation. Jester's behind the scenes with that whole situation with the Tsubaki. It's just like everybody is converging at the moment. Everybody's coming together all for this one threat right here, and to see how that's going to turn out in the end is going to be very interesting. I think one of the more interesting things with this kind of build-up is they imply the idea that there's going to be somebody that's going to be working against the police force, a mole or something that's in the works. That's what kind of pushes Sigma to get involved, is because they're not going to be successful, and it's because somebody's going to pull some strings behind the scene and take out Tsubaki. And a question mark, I think, at that point is who's that going to be? And I'm wondering if it might possibly be this John fella, because yes, the episode after the whole Flatt stuff opens up, we go into watching what's going on with Castor, Orlando's Castor, this guy that's this writer. It's at this point pretty much confirming that he is a writer, whatever his story is going to end up being, or who he's going to be. It's a writer that is influenced specifically by Hamlet. And yes, in this conversation with Castor, John, one of the officers of these 5 officers that come to Castor, John, it seems to be kind of building him up as being some sort of protagonist that's going to do something important. They are in a significant role in Castor's story that he's currently weaving. And yes, this whole scene has pretty much confirmed my predictions around Castor based on that first battle. This idea that he was pretty much writing out their abilities, writing out their weapons, and yes, creating noble phantasms. He's writing things into play. I'm certain, hopefully, it's going to play out similar to a lot of other stories where you have an individual that's able to write out stories and make things reality by writing it, that there'll be some sort of limit. There'll be a limit in the idea of you can only write what people would believe. So, and it seems to imply that based on how the conversation itself ends. It implies this idea that because you guys believe so much in what Orlando's doing, because you guys believe so much in that, your noble phantasms themselves, because they're so believed to be noble phantasms, they will take out real noble phantasms. And again, that plays into the story that he says, how he kind of built his fortune and what he does. And the idea that brings this whole conversation about, yes, glorifying things. This idea of these individuals wanting to help because they're officers and they want to protect everybody. It's like, you're just glorifying things. That doesn't put food on the table. Well, you have a mansion. Yeah, so you're saying that I glorify things? You're right, I do. Gives him this prosthetic hand and says, yes, I watched this play by Hamlet, but it was rewrote and tweaked by this individual, Ducey. Ducey rewrote it in a certain way. And then I read the real one, and I was like, this is the real thing. This is so much better. But what inspired me in the end was the fact that I seen this thing that was fake, this wannabe. And that kind of built this passion that he has. He creates wannabes. He creates these other stories that end up being better than the original thing because of their own entity. And again, that builds into the idea of creating noble phantasms and creating fake things that, if they're seen at first or whatever, there's a side of it almost because you don't know the true story behind it, you feel it's the real thing. Because it's their first experience of this thing, you just assume that's it. It's kind of like for a lot of people watching this video, watching an adaptation of a story that you've never read the source material. That's just all you know about it, right? It's amazing. I've never read the source material. It's amazing, though. Like, I get that all the time just reading all the way through Mushoku Tensei. It's like all these things that a lot of people miss. A lot of people don't really care. Like, you'll say, like, on a video, yeah, they skipped this content right here, and it's super good, and everybody's like, that's not really that important to me. I'm fine with the anime. I don't really need all this extra stuff. It almost feels like the same idea here. But again, it plays into, Castor mentioning, because you guys believe in what Orlando's doing, because all this stuff, it's going to become the real thing. It's going to overcome the true noble phantasms, which is really cool. It's a really cool concept here. If your faith is as real as Orlando's, you should be able to overturn as many of the real legends as you need to. But I completely got sidetracked here, but that's all for me to say. This introduction to this John individual as being sort of this protagonist, because Castor's writing out this story as them being the protagonist. He's like, no, this is all about revenge. John's saying, no, what I'm doing right now, because my mom died in this terrorist attack, I became an officer, it was to get revenge. Or Castor's saying, no, I'm going to write that you're doing this because you're trying to protect anybody else from facing the same pain that you did, because it's more interesting. That's going to glorify this story. It's not going to be some, boring, like, sad, tragic story. I'm going to make something that's glorified and cool. It plays it out like Castor sees him as a protagonist, and so I can see his significance as this character kind of being boosted up a bit here, which makes me almost wonder if this will end up being the mole. If he'll end up being the mole. And it might not be the idea that he wants to work against Orlando, and this individual that Sigma is being told about is working against them, but more so the idea that they will probably perceive that their choice in just taking out Tsubaki will be the good thing. That will protect them, that will keep them safe. That if I just take her out, it'll protect everybody else in the city. Because that's what they're sort of implying with the conversation between Flatt and Orlando. This idea that we can easily just blow up the building. Oh yeah, the government would do that. Key there, the government. Usual mindset of people, the betterment of mankind and the masses is to just get rid of this one threat, even if that threat is innocent. I can see John, again, this seemingly protagonist being thrown into the story that Castor's writing, will see that moment of going, I need to take that out. It's going to be the question mark is who's pulling the string in the background. I almost wonder if it'll be Castor. Because Castor even mentions the idea that I gave you this, it's pretty cool, right? I'll let you know how it works later on. I'll tell you the nasty details about it later on. Just get all them out there. Let me tell you the story about myself first, since we have plenty of time. We don't have much time to talk about your gauntlet, but let's talk about what inspires me, and it's wannabes. But I think it might be Castor. It could be Castor, and it could be in the idea that he doesn't tell him exactly how the gauntlet works, and it's going to play into their needs going forward. But we'll see. But look, crap, I'm running down some rabbit holes. That's pretty much all the Castor stuff. Very interesting to kind of see more about his character, and he seems like a cool dude. He seems like a cool dude. By the way, side note here, I pretty much watched the show in both Japanese and English dub for different reasons. It's easier to get screenshots with the English dub. But when I was going through the English dub of this show, Castor's voice actor is actually really good. Castor's voice actor is actually doing a really good job with his character. Holy crap. Anyways, outside of there, we did have a little brief scene with Ayaka and Richard at the very beginning of the episode, which is kind of implying the idea of, despite the fact that Ayaka's kind of feeling a little bit trying to catch up on the situation because it feels unreal that they're being watched by special ops, and you got the government working behind the scenes with casters for some big conspiracy. Come on, girl, you don't believe that part? While they're talking about that, Richard's over here like, yeah, I kind of can see a lot of this stuff happening. And she's like, it looks like you're having fun. Do I look like that to you? Do I give that impression? I kind of implying the idea that it seems like he doesn't really realize what he kind of looks like, that how much he's getting into things, or at least that what individuals perceive him as, because he may give a physical facade covering up his true feelings, it might give people the wrong impression. But yes, while they're talking, Sigma's talking to Watcher about the fact that he's hiding the vampire being at the hospital. Again, he knows the fact that there's a vampire there, seemingly with this whole situation with Ryder that's happening there. And it seems like Assassin overhears this and wants to have a little discussion with Sigma. I really like this scene. I like this scene a lot. Yeah, I kind of played a little bit into Watcher at the end there, where Watcher's like, you're quite the charmer. Do you have a little thing for this lady? I'm like, yeah, I kind of felt a little bit of a connection between Assassin and Sigma right here. But yes, Assassin doesn't trust Sigma, obviously, and I mean, why blame her when they just blurted out the fact that they're keeping something a secret from them? But yes, Assassin wants to know, if he believes in something, to kind of know that he has something that kind of grounds him. Having a belief in a higher being or whatever kind of gives you a stability of some sort to somebody like Assassin. She believes in something, thus, if you believe in something too, you'll, follow through with your convictions, rather than being very wishy-washy to whatever kind of fits your need physically at the time. And yes, he doesn't believe in gods. And that's mainly because, yes, the moment that before he's even born, apparently when they were fetuses, these child soldiers are taken from the mother and experimented on in order to become like killing machines with magecraft. And yes, they were told that the people in charge were the gods, and we killed them. So I don't really believe in gods. Nothing happened to me so far that tells me I was blessed by the gods. Definitely believe them. No, they haven't shown themselves to me. They haven't granted me something for me to even believe in them. And I like Assassin's reaction. I see it in your eyes. Yes, she can see in his eyes that he doesn't actually have something that he believes in. He's not lying to her right now. And in her perspective, it's because you haven't discovered something worth believing in yet. and I can't judge you on that because I have my own issues with my faith. There's a fracture that's happening with her. But she hopes that one day he's going to find that. He's going to create that something for him, and that it'll be good nature. I love that. She's not going to judge him and say, you're stupid for not believing in something. Why would you not believe in the same things that I believe in? No, it's simply, you haven't found it yet. I hope you find it, and I hope it's a good thing. It was a little cute scene. I liked it. It kind of humanized Assassin quite a bit there. It feels out of character for her, but at the same time, it doesn't. If that makes sense. It kind of caught me off guard, I guess is really the best way to put it. But yeah, again, quite the charmer. Are you falling in love for her? No, it was the first time somebody asked me something besides Francesca. Her begging that she was doing of me. So Francesca, yeah, I caught that the moment that it said that. I'm like, wait. Where's the scene where Francesca's just sitting there begging him to do something? Please do something for me. Is dorky. But anyways, that aside for now, we do get a brief scene about Sigma later on again, but let's go over to Flatt and his confronting with Orlando. We first get a little shot of Flatt and the fact that we get a little kind of glimpse at his history and the fact that his family hate him, despised him, that he's going to be apparently at some point in the future is going to be the one that destroys the family magecraft, which is kind of shocking because we're seeing that he's obviously very, very talented in this episode. I mean, I got a sense of it before, like the fact that he's able to sense so much stuff. He's able to see this fog, able to pick up on things that nobody else is picking up on. Again, his servant is not even picking up on anything. But yes, it kind of implies the fact that he has this fake smile, and it's probably due to the fact that people hate him so much, and he was trying to do something to kind of please people around him, and yes, seems like Waver didn't like that. Stop faking that smile. Your muscles are moving in a way that's not really intended. It's defying what you're actually doing there, so it's kind of weird. Stop it. It's a sign of immaturity what you're doing there. Children shouldn't need to fake smiles. Flick him in the forehead. It was cute. But yes, Flatt goes in there, infiltrates the Orlando's place, the police station, confronts Orlando himself. Orlando summons up a bunch of demonic beasts before Flatt just basically tames him. Says play ball, suddenly all the demonic beasts just start, rolling around and everything and just completely just erases them all. Completely infiltrates his entire system within like seconds. Crazy. Not only that, but yes, it implies the fact that Jack has pretty much has replaced 40% of the staff. He's like, don't even bother. 40% of the staff in this building right now is me. That was crazy. Which I kind of assumed that, I assumed that Jack had the ability to transform into anything, which was kind of odd that it seems like one of his shticks, at least, one of his abilities, the fact that he can turn to anybody, but yet Orlando's able to see through it. It's like the one thing that he's unique about him, and it doesn't even work for Orlando. Really? Again, that's not it. The fact that he's able to not only that, but also make multiples of himself. He's able to basically infiltrate this entire building, which makes you kind of wonder if he can, make endless amounts of clones of himself. But yes, immediately, he's like, you trying to make a truce here or something like that, or alliance? No, I'm just here to report something. I didn't mean to actually scare you or anything like that or shock you. I apologize for that. Just completely throws off Orlando. He's like, oh, so there's magecrafters like you. But no, they report the whole situation with the hospital, and it seems like Orlando's already knows information about this. It does seem like they had to call in to verify the crest, but it did seem like everything else outside of who Sabaki is was stuff they already knew. Flatt ends up testing them, saying, hey, we can blow up the entire building, get rid of the entire threat. That'll save everybody. You want to do that? And of course, Orlando. Interesting. Orlando doesn't say, no, I wouldn't do that because I'm all about protecting the people. Because again, this is a threat to the people. As a man of justice, he wants to protect all the people of the city. He doesn't want to sacrifice the people of the town. Instead, he says specifically, I know the government wouldn't hesitate to blow all that stuff up, but I have shackled our position as representatives of justice with my subordinates through a pact. Now, I don't know if that's specifically saying that I've made a pact that is like an actual spell pact with my people, that we are of justice and we will not harm people like that, and thus doing something like that would physically hurt us or whatever, or if he's just saying it's a pact, it's a verbal, this is what we believe, this is what we have stated that our position is, and I can't go against that. I would have probably assumed it's the second, but it could be the first one, just because of the fact that the way that Flatt responds to this is, oh, great, thank you. I was actually just testing you. Now we can work together. Here, talk to Waver. It does seem like it might, I guess it could be either way, but yes, Orlando talks to Waver, is very impressed by him. They decide they're going to go and save Tsubaki, save her from her servant. Before we cut over to Sigma, who's also looking at the situation with what everybody's doing and ends up getting clued in on the fact that, yes, they're going after Tsubaki. They made an alliance. They're going to go after Tsubaki. And that's when he learns himself that, yes, this little act of trying to save this girl is not going to work out. And it does also imply the fact that Sigma does sort of choose that he wants to help by his own choice. He said that at some point that Francesca was saying, hey, do whatever you want, act on your own, do your own thing. But I don't know what that means. I've always done what other people tell me, and I have to learn the meaning of this do it yourself kind of thing. But again, it does seem like based on what they tell him about Tsubaki, I feel like they're kind of leaning to the idea of him relating to Tsubaki in a certain way. That yes, the story they tell about Tsubaki so far is that, like typical with these damn families, they did Maidcraft tests on her as a child, but also that her family kind of treated her like a bird in a cage. They like doted on her and everything like that, but they also kind of caged her. And in her current position, she's the freest she's ever been, which I'd imagine they're implying there is because she's in a comatose state, because she's now in some hospital somewhere else, she's doing better off. She's not being experimented on over here. She's now free because she can just rest there and in her own comatose state be free. And again, it's also implying the fact that because Ryder's with her, it seems like she's able to see something of the outside world. He's taking her consciously out of there. But I think based on the fact that she's got such a similar situation as Sigma, I think there is a connection that he's having here with her. And that he wants to, because he feels that familiarity, he's wanting to help her out. So yeah. Leads to him going to Ayaka and saying, hey, I know where this vampire is. It's like the episode opened up with him saying, yeah, I don't want to tell him about this vampire thing because I got to have my little trump card. Let's go tell him about the vampires. Let's go tell him about the vampire that's with this Tsubaki girl. But yeah, the rest of the whole situation with Flatt, I like how he goes out. They make their plan and they go out and they go front Hansa. And freaking Flatt starts geeking out about Hansa's cyborg body. Like 70% of his body is machines, which I can see that. Again, it implies that this guy is very observant and he probably just subtly knows, like, just based on his movements that he's cyborg. It could also be based on, they imply the fact that his cyborg parts are like consecrated or something like that. I forget exactly how they put it. So he could be seeing that as well. But yeah, geeks out with Hansa. He's like, oh wow, finally a master that sees me as an observer. Finally, somebody recognized me for my job position. Finally, somebody respects me and takes me seriously. I like you, Flatt. Just like gives him a handshake right there. The girls are off the side like, oh my gosh, he's still a child, isn't he? Yes, he is. Like even Hans is like, hey, once you get done with that whole Magecraft stuff, if you want to leave that Magecraft stuff behind, come join the church. Come join the church, my boy. He likes this kid. He likes the kid. But yeah, the episode wraps up with a little brief conversation between Flatt and Berserker, which I guess the interesting part here really is specifically talking about Flatt and the fact that internally it seems like he has some sort of diversion to the world itself. And that it seems like Berserker himself is afraid of that divergence, that there's some sort of difference that he sees as the outside world. And again, it's obvious because Flatt just seems to not see things like everybody else does. He's very kind of chippery. It doesn't seem like he takes things seriously. It doesn't seem like he picks up on the cues that most people would. He accepts things a lot easier. Even if people seem like they're obviously going to betray him, he goes with it. It seems like he's a little bit up in the sky with his brain. A little bit aloof, a little bit out of there. And I think that there's probably a side of that Jack sees. And again, that's kind of concerning to him because you're taking a lot of reckless actions. This whole situation right now is reckless. You going to Orlando is reckless. You accepting to join them is reckless. Everything you're doing is reckless, which again doesn't work to what Berserker wants, which is to win this. But he's still accepting it because it seems like in the end, Flatt is grounded by his admiration, his reverence for Waver, who is a genius, because he's following in the footsteps of his master, and his master is really good at what he does. Waver is really smart. I talked to Waver. He's a really brilliant guy, and you respect him. It makes me accept you a little bit better there. It's an interesting way of kind of seeing things, but wraps up with Valkadus walking in on the beast, and the episode ends. Again, what a way to end the episode, but there's always next week. But really, really good episode of Fate Strange Fake. Looking forward to more. I'm assuming we're going to have probably Philia and Hatori and Berserker showing up as well, because again, I think they're all probably in an alliance together with Francesca. So we'll see how that all kind of clashes, if it even clashes. I think this writer's really good at kind of building things up and then not having anything happen, like kind of subverting your expectations by it kind of being resolved in a different way, which is always interesting as well, like if it's done well. But anyways, that's my thoughts on the episode. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, hit the like button down below. If you like this content and you want to support the channel more, become a member. Until next time, y'all take care.